What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 41 of the Infinity Flux Letters page. I'm Matt.
I'm Andy.
And this is our, I think, now weekly live stream where we just sort of talk about whatever's going on in the comic book industry, whatever you guys want to talk about. Kind of like the online version of hanging out with your buddies in the comic shop on New Comic Book Day. Our StreamYard is still goofed up, so we're still streaming this old school, so we can't pop up your comments on the screen. But C Nord and Lotor's Empire, I see you guys in the chat. How are you guys doing? Thank you for being here. I appreciate you guys being here. We don't really have anything specific queued up for this show. You know, we did have Emerald City Comic Con was this past weekend. There weren't any real crazy announcements from that because all the big announcements happened a couple weeks before that at Comics Pro. But yeah, we can still talk about our pick of the week. We'll start with that, and then whatever you guys want to talk about from there. My pick of the week, Absolute Batman. I mean, come on, it's the easy answer, but it's the honest answer. It's so good. I liked this issue better than the previous one.
I did too. Yeah.
I thought this one had higher stakes. There were some more shocking moments in this one than there were in the previous one. I think this may be, the book may have a different direction going forward from here.
There is some solicitations for issues after this that reference uh like a redacted thing. Do you know that? And I was thinking like, oh, what was it that happened? And then reading this one and being like, oh, like I really do think this is a turning point because of an action that Batman takes in here is going to have some effect on maybe how he's viewed by the whole city or how he views himself. I think it's going to be really interesting. Yeah, my pick of the week would probably either be Absolute Batman or Emperor Aquaman number
That was a good
15.
One too, yeah.
Which is Emperor Aquaman, kind of Emperor Aquaman Part 1. It was kind of rounding off the previous storyline, but setting up what's to come in Aquaman, and it's going to be really fun where it goes from here.
Yeah. Oh, I think my number two may have been Action Comics 1096.
Oh, yeah,
I
Action
really
Comics
liked
is
that
really
story. I thought it felt very Silver Age. Very fun. It wasn't like a big earth-shattering story. It was just Superboy saying, "Hey, why did that tree explode before the lightning hit it?" What's up, Guillotine Aficionado? How you doing? Nate Boy, how's it going? Do you think that Loki, who is holding the timeline together, is going to be in Doomsday? If he'll either be in that or Secret Wars, I'm sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's they're if they can, they will. I think this is even more than like in game and stuff. They're gonna try to get all the characters that they can afford.
And it's funny because the closer we get to these movies, the more we have to watch out for AI. I saw an AI video, I think today, that somebody had made, and they made it in a way to where it was kind of like washed out a little bit, and it was a little bit tilted, and it was like it was Deadpool and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. And they're like, we've got to assemble heroes from other worlds, and they went through one of the TVA doors, and Nicolas Cage's Ghost Rider was with him. But then they used a scene from the first Ghost Rider where he's like, "Let's ride," and then, oh man, and then there was a scene of like all the heroes running at Doctor Doom, and you had Ben Affleck's Daredevil, but he had a cape for some reason because AI is stupid. And actually, there was a really good looking Wolverine was there too, and then there was a good-looking Laura Kinney Wolverine. Like, even though it was live action, like she actually looked like she did in the comic. And I was like, "This is stupid, guys. Come on, nobody believes that this is a real thing."
That's gonna be the thing. Is like, when people are like, "Oh, no spoilers." Now it's like, I don't know what to believe, so I will only believe what I see when I go to the movie,
right.
And I'm okay with that. Like, I've always had that mindset of like, I'll form my opinion, I'll do whatever when I get there. But now even more so, it's like even if I see things, like if I look for trailers now, it needs to be from the studio.
Yeah.
Or like a really reputable website,
yeah.
I don't know, like Entertainment Weekly or something like
like Deadline or something.
Yeah, then I'll believe it. But
Sino, I agree with you. I want to see Henry Cavill as Wolverine. I do. That's like the only. I don't care about fan castings. I don't fan cast myself. I don't care about any of that stuff. But Henry Cavill was so good and looked so good as Wolverine in Deadpool Wolverine. I was like, come on, guys. If Hugh Jackman doesn't want to do it, He's right there. You got your guy right there. You already made him up. You already have the look. You got the hair. You got the claws. You know that he can sound like him. It's already done. Just do more of that. You know.
That's what I thought for John Krasinski is Reed Richards, and then they didn't do that
That's
either.
true.
So
Yeah. What's up, Vixen on TikTok? So we are live on YouTube and TikTok. We're not live on Facebook again because our StreamYard is still goofed up, but we are up on TikTok up here. So if you see us looking up here to stuff, let's see. I'd say the other half. Oh yeah, the other half by Ignition Press. That was fun too. I kind of thought that book was like it has a good premise, but it took a while to get to the premise. You know,
Yeah.
there was a lot of like, let's go to this hoity-toity party and let's talk to your parents who are unapproving, and it's like you're halfway through the book before they even started talking about the diamond in the museum and all that stuff. So it took a little bit. I thought it was a little long-winded, but it was still a good like it was a good mystery, you know, because this diamond got stolen, but then they're like, well, you two are one of the only people who knew it was even here. So I was like, oh, that's a good hook. I'll say Shaq. I can't quite see your full name. My eyes are bad. But is the Invincible issue 1 variant cover real?
Uh, which one? And
I mean,
there,
there is a new printing, right? Or a new printing of Invincible #1 today, right?
yeah, I mean, I've I've got one right here.
Yeah, that's one of them. There was
So
also like a regular, was it Ryan Otley sort
there's
of did
there's
a
the Cory Walker, which was the main one that was the original cover. Then there's the Cory Walker one that looks more like the show.
okay.
There's the Ryan Otley one, which is the one I got. I also got the blank sketch variant. I think that was it for those.
Yeah.
But also, I did have some people come in today and like, was this a facsimile? And I was like, not really.
Not
And they're
really.
like, was the one last time a facsimile? I was like,
Definitely
it
not.
was not.
Definitely not. Yeah.
But yeah, this one I think does still have. For one, it's got that on the back, which facsimiles have the original ads on the
Yeah.
back, and this has the ad for the game and
Okay.
all of that. So no, this is not a facsimile either.
I just think of it as a new printing.
Yeah,
Lotor's Empire says, I don't know, enough people talk about absolute titles. I like to be different. You know, so we were talking about this right before we went live. I hear you, and because we were talking about like, we always say Absolute Batman's our favorite. We always use Absolute Batman in the thumbnails and stuff. And yeah, I like to be a little bit different too, but at the same time, I don't want to say that,
I'm gonna be contrary just for the sake
yeah,
of.
I don't want to say like, oh, I don't know, Storm #2 was my favorite. When it isn't, just for the sake of being contrarian. I want to be honest. And out of 20, I think I read
20. I think 27.
yeah, we had 27 books. I read 22 of them, and out of 22 books, Absolute Batman was my favorite one. So I mean, it's like I said, it's the easy answer, but it's the honest one. I'm not going to change that just for the sake of being different. It is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
It's just how it's how the cookies crumble.
Yeah, I think like, I mentioned I liked Aquaman too. It's like there's other stuff too I really like. Um and if Absolute Batman is ever not at the top of the list, we will happily say something
Yeah.
else too, you know.
Well, when number 17 came out, it was my #2 pick that week because I didn't think it was the best. I think it was Fantastic Four. I think that was my
Yeah.
pick of the week that week. And I was like, I just like that issue even more. I had more fun reading that. So it's not always Absolute Batman, but 99% of the time it is. But unless it's a weaker issue of Absolute Batman, or unless there's a stronger other book, or unless it's a combination of both, I mean, I'll be honest. Xavier says, "What's the cover with the one all of
Like
what?
the Invincible one I showed,
Yeah.
I think.
What's the cover with the one
That
all of
was
them on there?
that was the Ryan Otley cover.
Absolutes deserve their recognition all around. I agree. What's up, Tyler Smith? Wait a minute. I work with a guy named Tyler Smith.
I do too if I am working on a Star Wars book.
Like literally, he's on. Yeah. There's a guy on my team at work named Tyler Smith. That's I never made that connection before.
Yeah, that's
Patron, happy new comic book day.
I also do think that's the thing too is like um even if Absolute Batman is the top selling book, it's all of this stuff, it still deserves the recognition that it deserves. I know there was like a whole thing. I remember I don't remember who they were talking to. It was an indie creator.
Real quick, Sam on TikTok says, "Great store. Looking forward to my next visit." Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks for coming in and shopping, and for the kind words. And we hope you come back.
But it was a
Please come back.
it was a thing where someone was like, "Oh, I pirate all of the big two books, but I buy the the indie stuff because they deserve the money and stuff." And the indie creator was like, "No, if you are pirating those, then that means you want to read them, and that means they deserve your money too.
Yeah.
Like, you need to. It doesn't matter if they're the big two. There's still people behind it, and those sales numbers matter and everything. So we're enjoying Absolute Batman and Absolute Wonder Woman, all of that, and I hope they keep making them. So we're gonna talk about them
Yeah.
to show support.
So, like, Firestorm, the new Firestorm book that's coming out on April
Yeah,
1st, that's a great example. It's on FOC this coming weekend. We've read the first 3 issues already. It's fantastic, but it's only a mini series, and but there is the potential that it gets extended to an ongoing series if the sales are there, right? So, um, I definitely hope everybody pre-orders it because that's one that deserves to be an ongoing series. It's like it's that good. But yeah, I mean, if the sales aren't there, just with anything, right? Any book has to have sales. The sales have to be there. Well, and I had an interesting discussion with somebody about this. It was around the new history of the DC Universe of Dakota incident, and when we say the sales have to be there, but really the pre-orders have to be there. That's
yeah,
what publishers are really looking at is the pre-order numbers, which is a shame because you would think that they would look at pre-order numbers and they would maybe look at digital sales. They would be looking at number of views or number of books read on their digital platforms, number of trade sales, that kind of stuff. Like, it's a shame that all of that stuff doesn't factor in because pre-order numbers are only one small part, and not even like as much as we talk about pre-orders. There's still a lot of people who don't know to pre-order books, right? They just like walk in the shop and pick it up off the shelf. They don't know that you can pre-order, so it's weird.
yeah. The publishers don't know what our sales are.
Yeah,
They know
they've already got their money.
they've got their
Yeah,
money. I think the way that translates is if we get a lot of pre-orders, then we go, oh, this book seems to be popular, so we're going to up the orders even more on that, and that kind of translates through. But if there's stores that only order just what their pre-orders are, they may be missing out on getting new people on board and then
yeah,
higher numbers for the number two. And yeah, so that's why we always push pre-ordering. It's a good thing all the way around. It helps stores, it helps creators, it helps kind of, it's like your vote for a book.
yeah. Right. Yeah, and you don't. It's not like pre-ordering a video game at GameStop. You don't pay for it when you pre-order. You pay for it when it comes in, right? You're just reserving your copy, basically.
Yeah.
Let's see. Is Absolute Batman a book you can pick up, or will you be lost with every issue? No, all the Absolute books are designed to be. You can start from the beginning. Now, if you pick up Absolute Batman right now in the middle of this run, like if you pick up number 18 that came out today without having read the first 17, you might be a little bit lost. Actually, you probably will be lost. But the Absolute books, like you don't have to have read any Batman in order to read Batman, Absolute Batman #1. You don't have to have read any Wonder Woman to read Absolute Wonder Woman.
And you have to
#1,
read
so
any
on.
of the other Absolute books to understand.
Yeah, somebody asked me that too. They're like, "Do I need to read the other Absolute books if I just want to read Absolute Batman?" Definitely not. They're all fairly siloed from each other. There were 2 issues where Batman and Wonder Woman crossed over, but that's it. Like
Yeah.
all the they're all siloed.
And
so
those stories weren't really crossovers. They were contained each within their
yeah,
own thing. The
yeah.
story, the individual story was.
Yeah, so you can absolutely just go read Absolute Batman. I do recommend starting from the beginning, though. There are 2 trades out right now that go through. The first issue the first one collects issues 1 through 6. The second one collects 7 through 14. If you got those 2 trades, that would almost get you caught up, and then you can maybe buy the singles from there or wait for the third trade. But yeah, it's easy to catch up. It's very accessible to new readers. Highly recommended. I've asked this question before a while back. I forgot. If I really want to start with the reading the Guardians of the Galaxy, where should I start? I recommend starting back in 2008 with the Abnett and Lanning, Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. They are the guys that run that started in 2008. It's just called Guardians of the Galaxy #1 from 2008. that's what gave us our like the Guardians that we know today,
Yeah.
right? Without that book, we probably wouldn't have the movies. Like the movies are they not adapt, but they borrow from that new modern version.
I mean, before that, your Guardians didn't have Rocket Raccoon on them. It
Yeah,
didn't have it. That one took a lot of these characters that kind of existed in their own bubbles and brought them together. You know, it wasn't the first appearance of any of those, but that's where we got. You know, if you like Drax, that's not what Drax looked like or acted like before
right. Yeah,
this. But that storyline had him where he like had a cocoon and he broke out and he was
yeah,
this new version of Drax. So yeah, if you're thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy, you're probably thinking of the Abnett and Lanning
yeah.
versions that they established then, and that's a great like you read that, but there's a lot of really great stuff around it too.
Mm.
Um,
Annihilation.
Annihilation
Yeah,
is kind of
Nova.
what kicks it off.
Yeah,
Is the Annihilation storyline, but yeah, Nova and Super Scroll and all of that is one of the most epic runs of things that Marvel has done
yeah,
in probably ever that goes from Annihilation and the War of Kings and all of this stuff, and it was just this big grandiose space epic
yeah.
that I don't know, like it wasn't even really an event. Like, the Imperial, it's kind of what Imperial said it was going to be, a new status quo
Yeah.
for the Marvel galaxy or whatever. It's like, no, like starting with Annihilation and Guardians of the Galaxy in 2008, that was kind of
That was your
what set up what we think of
Yeah.
as the entire Marvel cosmos with Silver Surfer and
Yeah,
all of
Nova,
that.
and they brought back Nova in a big way.
Yeah.
Do y'all have them? I might come in and get them. I don't know if we have any back issues. I mean, they're 18 years old at this point.
Yeah.
And they've been collected. I don't know that any of those are still available in print. So I'm not sure if we have any back issues or not. But I mean, they're certainly not. They're not new issues.
I mean, the way I've most recently read them is the omnibus for the Annihilation omnibus.
Oh, right.
Which are expensive, but it also has all the other good stuff in it.
Isn't there a Marvel Premiere Collection coming for? I'm trying. Wasn't there something new for Annihilation that was coming out? I'm not sure.
We talked about that, but I'm not sure what was in it.
Yeah.
But I do think it was.
No, it wasn't a Premiere Collection. Those are the small
I think
ones.
it was a modern epic collection.
Yeah, that's what it was. A modern era epic collection for Annihilation. Oh, that would be great.
That would be a great way of getting it if it has, a decent amount of stuff in it.
Yeah. Collection Annihilation. Yeah, so let's see when this comes out. Sorry, this is riveting live streaming, I know.
It should
Published on October 7th. Did it already come out? I guess.
there might be another one then, and like the next volume of it.
Yeah.
So it might be out now.
Yeah.
Annihilation Modern Epic.
Modern Era Epic Collection. Yeah. Yeah, that would be a great way to do it for sure. The only absolute title I'm gonna lose my mind over and get every issue as it comes out is Absolute Green Arrow. Dude, that thing looks awesome.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know what to expect from that. Who is Green Arrow? I mean, that's part of the fun is trying to figure that out. We're getting introduced to the absolute version of Black Canary in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be awesome. Like I'm really looking forward to that. I think that's May.
Raphael Albuquerque on art.
Yeah, I believe that's May. Is Absolute Catwoman in May also or
I think
June?
so.
I think May or June. Yeah, this summer is going to be really good for comics. We've got some new Absolute stuff. We've got the Armageddon event at Marvel, which I'm interested in. We'll be just a couple issues into all the Next Level books from DC. Yeah. So a few days ago, I came in and got a Deadpool action figure. Do y'all still have the gray version?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
You can check on the website. We have all of
Are
our
they
stuff.
all on the website now?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so just look up Marvel Legends Deadpool probably, and you should be able to find out.
Even the the loose ones that are hanging in the bags and everything.
I think most of those are on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think they have the little QR code,
Mhm.
which means they are on the website.
Yep.
Yeah, just check the website and see. I mean, are the I know there's a project going on right now. Are all the back issues on there yet? Like
Not
just
all
regular
of them.
back issues?
No,
Not-
but that is what we're currently working on, is getting all the back issues on the website as
Yeah.
well.
because eventually you'll be able to just like just if you want to know if we have something, just check the website because the website inventory will match what's here in the
Hmm.
store. The back issue comics, like I said, aren't there yet, but one day that will be a goal. Let's see. Yeah, the Annihilation event from 2000, yeah, 2008. That would be a great way to read some cosmic Marvel stuff. Not necessarily, it's not just Guardians of the Galaxy, but yeah, that's what kicked the whole thing off. On TikTok, user 3017 says, "Am I the only one that thinks DC is outdoing Marvel with these stories right now?" Like, wow. No, you're definitely not the only one.
No.
We are enjoying, on the whole, we're enjoying more DC stories than we are Marvel right now. Marvel does have some bright spots. I'm enjoying the heck out of Fantastic Four and Moon Knight and Punisher
Captain
and
America.
Captain America.
We've read the first issue of Daredevil that
Daredevil is
comes out
good.
on April 1st.
Yeah,
That's really good. But it is,
but I like the new X Men, or not new X Men. I like Jed McKay's X Men as well. That's really fun. And Infernal Hulk is really interesting,
and you
and
like Thor
I
or Mortal
love
Thor.
Thor. Yeah,
Yeah.
Mortal Thor right now is crazy. So it's crazy good. So yeah, Marvel has some bright spots, but I do feel like I could probably count more DC books that I get excited by. If you want to put it that way. I do get pumped. I do get jazzed to read more DC books. Yeah, Marvel's doing okay. They've got some work to do, but they do have some bright spots for sure.
I, I'm hoping that at some point we get a Marvel rebuilding year
Yeah.
that's like, not a reboot, not nothing like that, but hey, let's tinker with some of this stuff and realign some things and stuff because it does feel like right now a lot of Marvel stuff is supposed to exist in the same universe, but they don't all mesh really well. They feel kind of like Spider-Man's doing his own thing over here, and X-Men are doing their own thing over here, and it'd be nice to like kind of get a little bit more synergy. Not that they have to cross over, but it just feels like I'm reading separate.
It's a little
It's a
disjointed.
little
Yeah.
disjointed.
Good question on TikTok. Exo Collect says, "Do you think power scaling as a whole for comics and manga ruins the experience for others?" You know, I don't really. I don't like when it's fun to be in the comic shop with your buddy and be like, oh yeah, Hulk could beat Thor, and then your buddy's like, "Oh no way, you're crazy. Thor could definitely beat Hulk, right?" But it's when people get toxic about it, right? Especially like on social media. It's like, oh, you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. Of course, Superman could beat Goku or whatever because none of it's real, right? It's all fiction, and in fiction, literally anything could happen, right? And anytime somebody asks me, like, you know, who would win between Superman and the Century or whatever, I always say whoever the writer wants to win, right? Because that's the truth. It's whoever the writer wants to win. Now, I do always then say, but if I were writing the story, I would write it so that Superman wins or whatever. But there's no rules in fiction. So like when people get really toxic about, oh, there's no way that the Sentry could beat Superman. Well, there's no rules that say they can or can't, right? Because it's not real. You can do anything you want. That's the great thing about fiction. You can do whatever. So when it starts to get toxic and when it starts to get really really like ugly and argumentative, I do think that can that
That's it's a funny thing because working in a comic book shop, if you see a comic book shop on a show, I don't know, like Big Bang Theory or something like that, is always the thing they go to. Is like the nerds are hanging out and they're talking about who would win in a fight. One, that doesn't happen too often, but
yeah
also, yeah, that is it. It seems innocent on the outside, but the person asking that question already kind of has a thing in their head about what they think, and it's never. I don't know. I don't think that argument has ever ended well of who would win in a thing. And to go along with that, we get people, and nothing wrong to people who don't go to comic book stores a lot or whatever. But I get asked all the time by people who are not regulars and don't frequent comic book stores. Oh, Marvel or DC, and it's like
yes,
that
the
doesn't
answer is
that
yes.
doesn't lead to anything but um just like a nasty choosing sides
Yeah,
when you don't have to pick sides.
you're right.
So much of like comic culture and I don't think it's as maybe as bad now, at least to people who read comics, but there was always like this weird dividing line between two
Yeah.
things. And I think now that we're seeing like Superman, Spider-Man, and Batman, Deadpool, and stuff, we're seeing like even the companies don't do this. So why should we get involved in a making debates where there's not really any?
Oh, Scott Snyder had just had a great tweet yesterday, maybe the day before, and I wish I could pull it up on screen to show it. He said flat out, he's like, a lot of people think that Marvel and DC are at odds with each other or they're rooting for the other one to fail. And he's like, no, we're actually all friends and we're all excited
Mhm.
about what the other one's working on, and we all share what we're doing. And and he used the example that if one does well, the other one does well, and something like that. So yeah, he was like flat out, it's like, no, we're not at odds with each other.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of friendly competition here and there, but no, it's not like it's not a rivalry, like and yeah, like you said, it's like, well, if Marvel and DC are chill with each other, then why are the fans so
Mhm.
adamant about making them opposite? And
I
that's
do
just not
think a
how it
lot of that
is.
also comes from people, also like people who we don't, don't read as much and everything. When they usually ask that, then they start slipping into movies. They're like, well, the movies,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like, that's not even,
Yeah.
that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
That's a whole separate industry.
Right.
You're not even dealing with, apples to apples at that point.
That's a whole
There's a
separate.
whole billion-dollar
Yeah.
industry that's dealing with that.
Marcus McKinney on TikTok says, "Look, I got back into comics because of you. I'm from South Central LA. Well, that's awesome. Thank
That's
you.
awesome.
Thank you for saying so. We're glad that we were able to help you get back in. I hope you're having fun. Now that you're back in.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a big comic book TikTok guy that I follow. He's got tons of followers, and he knows his stuff, but he makes a ton of videos like calling out other people. I guess he'll have like a conversation with somebody, and then he'll make a follow up video saying, you are so stupid if you think that Batman could beat blah blah, and he'll pull out like pages and look, in this issue Batman did this, and in this issue Batman did that, and I'm like, sure, you're not wrong. Batman did do that thing in that issue, but that doesn't. It's fiction. There's literally
Yeah.
no right or wrong to any of this, right? It's like if you're an artist and you paint a nice painting and someone says you painted that wrong. Well, no, I didn't. It's art. There's no rules.
I
I
did
can
it
do whatever
exactly
I
like
want.
I
Yeah,
intended to do it.
yeah. I mean, a writer. It wasn't there like a story where Squirrel Girl beat Galactus or
Yeah.
something. A good writer can. That's the trick. Is like it's not trying to make one character beat another. It's how do you make it interesting?
Yeah.
And if you do have a character like Squirrel Girl beating Galactus, how do you make that story believable within the
Believable.
context of the universe, right? I mean, that's where the trick is, and that's where the interesting part comes in. I don't care who wins or loses a fight because they'll always be back later, right? It doesn't bother. You know what? I'll tell you something else. This is what I get frustrated with. There's a lot of people out there who get really really mad that I guess technically Moon Girl technically supposedly I guess is supposed to be smarter than Reed Richards.
Mm.
And there are a lot of people who get mad about that anytime it's not brought up much because Moon Girl doesn't show up a lot. But there was something recently within the last month or two where something came out about Moon Girl, had her at the number one smartest person in the Marvel Universe. And people got mad, like, Reed Richards. And like, who cares? Just because this one character who doesn't appear very often, just because like somebody says that they're smarter than Reed Richards, doesn't negate all of the things Reed Richards has done in 60 years worth of comics. Save how many times does he save the world and all the stuff that he's come up with, and it doesn't matter. Who
Yeah.
cares? That's the kind of thing that. And then that's where the toxicity comes in. Like, I can't believe they're doing this. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
I think it was an interview. I want to say with Mark Wade, who kind of talked about like, if it's all about who can beat who, then I can just write on a scrap of paper, Deadpool beats the Beyonder.
Yeah,
Okay, well then that's not interesting. It's not
yeah,
interesting just to say this person. It's about how you get there, how you get to, if that is a story, it's not about who comes out, but it's how all the pieces fall into place where
Yeah.
that does happen. So that's the who would win, who would beat who is not the interesting part. It's how
How do they
would
do it? Yeah.
then you could have you talk how would dupe from uh
Yeah. Yeah.
ecstatics beat I don't know Sabretooth. I don't
Yeah.
know. Well then we can talk about that.
See that would be a much better framing of the question. If instead of who wins between Hulk and Thor, if the question was always framed as if you were to write that story, who would you have winning and how would you have them do it?
Yeah.
That's a much more interesting thing. I mean, sure, like yeah, I mean it's fun, the chatting up with your buddies. And back in the day, pre-internet, we did that a lot more, and it was fun. No, there's no way Hulk can beat Thor, right? But now with the internet and social media and like you said, the movies and people having one idea, now I think it's a lot more toxic than it used to be, which sucks all the fun out of it. Which kind of goes back to the original question, of taking people out of comics. Like it does kind of suck the fun out of it when things just get toxic, and there's gatekeeping hurts us all from a guillotine aficionado. Yeah, gatekeeping is not a terrible thing, or it is a terrible thing.
Yeah.
And I've seen stuff online where, oh man, there was something recent or a couple months back where somebody said something like, if you've only ever read Absolute Wonder Woman, then you can't call yourself a Wonder Woman fan. And I was like, hold on a second,
Yeah.
we're not going to start dictating. You have to read this checklist before you can call yourself a fan of that character. That's a little ridiculous. So, yeah, gatekeeping like that.
Especially when they get into like financial reasons. Like,
Oh yeah,
oh, you think you're a Wonder Woman fan? Do you have a complete run of? And it's like that has nothing
right,
to
right.
do with how much I like. Like, there's a lot of characters that I really like. I don't own their first appearance. I don't
Oh
do all
sure,
that. I don't need to like the character.
yeah.
But people put these like gates in the way of saying, well, you got to pass through this one to get there,
Yeah.
and it's like, no.
You have to be able to answer this quiz, and you have to have this many figures, and you have to have all these issues. No, that isn't how it works at all. I think we maybe you talked about it last week. There was a debate online about can you be a fan of comic books without reading comic books? And I think to that, no. I mean, if you're going to be a fan of the medium,
Yeah.
you have to partake in that medium. But that doesn't mean you can't be a fan of maybe a certain character, right?
Yeah.
I'm a Spider-Man fan. I don't read Spider-Man comics, but I like him in the cartoon. I like the movies. You can be a fan of a character, and it's different. Are you talking about a character or are you talking about a medium? That's two different things. They kind of, but it's kind of the same thing. You can't be a fan of something without experiencing something, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. It's nuanced, and social media doesn't always tend to look at all the finer details, the finer points of things, I guess. But
Yeah, my only thing, and you'll see someone wearing an AC/DC shirt, and then someone says, "Name 3 AC/DC
yeah,
songs."
right.
The only thing I have to that is if I'm like wearing a shirt, or say I'm a fan of something, I want to be careful that my views and stuff line up with what I'm showing off.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the only thing is I'm like, oh, I love this character, and they're like, I love Red Skull and everything Red Skull does. Be like, okay, do you know?
Yeah,
Are you
right.
sure about that? It's like I wouldn't profess to be a fan unless I did have a knowledge about it.
Yeah.
But I can also like the aesthetic. I can like
Well, yeah, well, that's a great example. I'm a huge Red Skull fan because he's a great foil for Captain America,
Yeah.
not because of his own values,
Yeah.
but because I like, he's an actual bad guy. There's nothing redeeming about him. Marvel so far hasn't tried to give him a redemption arc, right? So that I know of anyway. So he's a bad guy, and
Yeah.
I like to dislike him, and I like to see Captain America punch him in the face. So,
That's a hard post to make where people don't just read your first line and say, "I love Red Skull."
yeah, right.
That's the kind of problem with it. Is you got to dig a little bit deeper to get the full story.
Yeah. Nora on YouTube says, "I'm not gonna lie, I've gotten a lot of my comic books from the mystery boxes at your shop." Oh, that's awesome! Thank you for.
I put together a lot of those, the single issue ones.
So if you got a dud, send him an email.
Yep.
DM on.
And I'll try to find out who did that one.
Right.
They snuck around me and they did a bad
Yeah.
one, and that's not okay.
Shouldn't Deadpool and any other immortal superhero technically be the strongest superhero?
I don't think you have to,
Depends on what you mean by strength, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, and you can be immortal and also be useless. Like, if a mortal character who can't fly or something, like Deadpool, if he got stuck in the middle of the sun, he's not doing anything.
He'll just like
Just constantly melting
constantly
away.
regenerate. Yeah,
So I don't think that would technically make the strongest.
yeah. Guillotine aficionado. A lot of the Marvel versus DC is you're not a true comic book fan unless you represent the one I like. Yeah, that's um one thing that I don't love these days that I see a lot is and I think we may have talked about this before, is like used to, there's a lot of tribalism. I only like Marvel. I only like DC. If you like Marvel and I don't, that means you must be a bad person. But now it's been drilled down more into uh, Spider-Man fans are this way. Of course, a Spider-Man fan would say that. Of course, a Nightwing fan would say that. I'm like, wait, why are we like singling out individual characters now?
We're singling out and saying these attributes are universally attributed to these characters, and thus these attributes reflect on you.
Yeah.
But what's funny about that is, and then if you are, been reading comics for a while, you're like, there's like 1,000 versions of this character written by
Right.
different people.
Yeah.
It's like all you have to do is look at a character like Deadpool and be like, well, are you referring to like how he is now or how he was when he first came on the scene? Very different characters. Like Spider-Man, are you talking about, pre-deal with Mephisto or post?
Yeah.
I would hope I had the ability to love and to have relationships like pre-Mephisto Peter
Right.
Parker. But yeah, it's like you can't just these aren't real characters that real people that they have only been around for 40 years and they've been around for 80 years and they have 1,000 different aspects to them.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff is, I think some of it may be a generational thing. I'm a middle-aged guy, and I know there's a lot of younger people who read comics. I do tend to think that maybe some of the younger generation tends to have a little bit more tunnel vision, like on one thing, like I love Nightwing and that's my whole personality, and it's like, I have a larger breadth of characters that I like. So I don't know if it's maybe a generational thing or something like that, but I don't know why people do that, but it is a little bit weird because, and especially, when people say, "Oh, well, of course a Spider-Man fan would think that way." It's like, well, actually I like most characters, so if you're pigeonholing me as a Spider-Man fan, I probably like the character who you're saying you like too, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like how many thousands of characters are there? You don't have to pick just one. You don't have to pick just one of anything. Marvel, DC, PlayStation, Xbox, Domino's or Pizza Hut. You don't have to pick one thing. You can like a whole bunch of stuff. When are we going to get an absolute Omni? Oh, man.
When there's enough issues.
When there's enough issues. I do wonder if maybe they'll do an omnibus with maybe the first 12 issues of each one of them, or I don't know.
I don't know.
I wouldn't be interested in one that mixes and matches. I would want just like, absolute Batman, absolute Superman. I would want them to be their own thing. Of course, an Aquaman fan would say that. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Aquaman fans.
There are so few of you that, yeah.
We've had our backs against the wall for a long time. We're used to these fights of being the butt of every joke.
Yeah, you're constantly having to defend your own, your pick.
Tyler's a big Aquaman fan too, and back when, he was my comic book guy, and you go to the store that he worked at, we would have those discussions like, people come in, oh, Aquaman, the loser character and all that. I hope we've gotten away from that to a degree, but I do feel like when people still make an Aquaman joke, I'm like, where have you been?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think those jokes are relevant anymore. I think in the comic side of it, I mean, I never think he was a joke, but when Jeff Johns' Aquaman came out,
oh, dude,
you just read the first issue and be like, you just put all of those jokes to bed because he answers all of them.
Yeah, I was never one to say, oh, Aquaman's lame because he only talks to fish. I always thought he was cooler than that. But yeah, that New 52 Aquaman #1 from Jeff, when I read that, I was like, this issue alone puts all of that to bed because he flips the van and the guy shoots him, and it does it make him bleed? It bounces off, but I think it gives him a little cut or something like that.
I'm not sure.
Which makes sense. He would have to be super dense to survive the pressure of the ocean. But yeah, oh man. And then Aquaman has a lot of dark stories in the 70s though. I've got a couple
I mean, well, his
hardcovers.
son got killed.
Yes, that his child was murdered. Wasn't it Black
Black
Manta did that?
Manta killed
Yeah,
his son. I would say he has the darkest storyline for like
yeah,
silver to bronze age comics than any character. You think Batman stuff is dark, like yeah, the Jason Todd and everything. Aquaman, like consistently is getting just beaten down. Like
yeah.
he lost his hand because of Piranha. He lost like every relationship he had. He was exiled from Atlantis. Like he has nothing but like getting beaten to the
Yeah.
ground. And just in general, he's about as dark as Batman is a lot of the times of like how he perceives the world and
Yeah.
everything. Like dig into some old Aquaman stuff. I think people will be surprised.
Plus, like some of that old stuff, like Jim Aparo did a lot of the artwork. Like a lot of that, like '70s Aquaman stuff is good, and it
Yeah.
looks good too. There's I think there's 3 hardcovers. They don't really like, they're not like they don't make a set, but they do like collect. A certain they follow each other one after the other, and I've got all 3 of those. They look great. They're oversized hardcovers, and that's the dark stories that we're talking about. Yeah, there's some good Aquaman stuff from back in the day, and I really think it was just Super Friends. That was like,
It
oh,
is
everybody
Super
saw him
Friends.
on Super Friends. Oh, he's talking to fish, and that's all he does. And
Yeah,
you
he
know,
rides a seahorse
yeah,
and all of
that's
that.
where people get their opinion from. And
Yeah. Don't form your opinion. I love Super Friends, but if you do that, there's a lot of characters you can make fun of from
oh
Super
yeah,
Friends.
I
They're
mean
they're all
Batman,
goofballs.
yeah, Batman and Robin are big doofuses on Super. I mean, they're all, you know. I like the. I want to see absolute Wendy and Marv.
Oh,
and
it's like Hitmen or something,
yeah.
and
Oh man, didn't they? I think they showed up in a comic or something. I don't remember. I don't know if this is me or not. I feel like the magic of comic books was it being hand drawn. I feel like the new ones don't feel as cool. Well, I mean, do you mean? I mean, comics are still hand drawn, but do you mean like using like pencil and paper versus drawn digitally? Because I mean, it's not. I mean, if you're talking about like AI drawn comics, then yeah, those are garbage. But I mean, there's still artists with some kind of utensil drawing, with their hands. It just may be drawn digitally versus on like 11 by 17. uh what's it called, board? What's the Bristol board?
Bristol Ward.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's the this I can speak on.
yeah,
Um, so there, there is a it's interesting because I will say the differences between digital and physical um is you can correct more. I can erase without you can only erase so many times on a Bristol board or any kind of paper before it doesn't really get everything off. Um, I think part of that could just be an evolution of style.
yeah,
You see those and you associate those with like hand drawn, but everything is still hand drawn. Like this is how I draw comics, and this is it's an Apple pencil, but it's still a
yeah.
pencil. I still have to make those lines,
I mean,
and
your iPad, you draw everything on that right there. Yeah,
yeah, and those are published books and everything, and it's still up to the artist to create that. Digital is a tool, like it just saves me from having to have tons of paper, having I have every color I need, I have everything, but it's still up to me to create it.
yeah,
And I think that's kind of the big thing. We're friends with Richard Starkings, who is the letterer um, that worked on stuff like The Killing Joke and Hush, and has his own book, Elephant Men, and all of that. And people, I've been at cons with him, I've been around, and where people go like, um, what's what you do compared with hand lettering stuff? And Richard's like, it's still hand lettering. I use my hands to do it. It's not me tracing letters, but you still need the knowledge of a letter to know where does it go, where how can it best tell the story.
yeah,
It doesn't matter if you use a computer to put the fonts in or you do it by hand. The thing is the end product and how well does it tell the story.
yeah,
Now, if you think someone's art is distracting, or I think of those really digital Iron Man and Batman books that came out.
Yeah,
Those
those
are
were rough.
distracting because
Yeah.
they look like you're like, a PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah.
But it's still, it was still created. The shots still had to be thought through. They still had to be designed. The flow. Now, if that doesn't work for you, that is up on the artist and everything. But it has nothing to do with the tools they use.
Yeah. I think part of it too may be, different styles of printing now where, every color under the sun can be printed on nice glossy paper, back in the, the 60s, 70s and 80s and even before that, it was on newsprint and you had to use the duotone, the dots
Yeah.
basically. And to mimic like a flesh color, you had like all these little red dots, and you couldn't get as much you couldn't get as many colors out of that. The shading wasn't as great. The colors were a lot more flat than they are now. So I think maybe that's what it is. And I do have an affinity for duotone. Am I saying that right? Is that duotone or is it
Yeah.
halftone or
Duotone or
I'm talking about the little dots.
yeah, and those are, they didn't draw those dots.
Right.
That's a sheet that you cut out in the shape of it. Stipple tone or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I will say, like I've I've also worked on Bristol and I do original sketches and stuff like that physically. Um, and I respect the time and everything that it takes to do stuff like that. Um, the truth of it is now is it is mostly digital because of speed. And used to, a lot of those creators, Marvel was in New York and they lived down the street, or they would have to mail that original
Oh, yeah.
art. Or if they lived near, they would take it down there, and that's just not the case
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, even like in the 90s, Rob Liefeld mentions on his podcast a lot about having to rush to the FedEx store before 6 p.m. because they had to overnight some pages to Marvel
Mhm.
the next day or something like that. And yeah, and thankfully that's not how it is anymore. You can just like
Yeah.
email pages and do whatever with them.
Yeah, so super respectable. If people still do things, Bristol or however they do it, even a lot of really modern artists like Jim Lee and stuff, that's still how they do it. Um, but I don't say one is better than the other or one artist is better because they did this than a digital artist. It's kind of like how you were trained and how you brought up. I would say the majority of digital artists could still draw the same thing,
Oh yeah.
but it's just given the time restraints that they have, and like someone will be like, okay, you've got to oh, can you change this panel? Used to, you'd have to cut out pieces of paper, redraw it, and like stick it over that and rescan it.
I love the like the Marvel Artist Edition books. I
Yeah.
have a couple of them from like the Amazing Spider-Man ones. And I love looking through those because you can still see like the blue lines and everything, but you can see where they've used whiteout, or you can see where they've taken a little piece of paper and drawn like a patch almost and then stuck it on top.
Yeah.
And you can see the tape and the glue. I love seeing that kind of stuff because it gives you a peek into not just the original art, but it gives you a peek into how that book was physically created in
Yeah.
the first place. I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and you've got the with that kind of art, you do have the option of buying and selling original
Sure,
pages
yeah.
and everything, which digital you can't do. That a lot of people also work hybrid. Ryan Otley does a hybrid. He does all of his layouts in digital, and then kind of rough pencils and everything, and then he prints that out and then inks physically. So yeah, there's also hybrids.
I have a Captain America trade paperback, and it's not new. It's not super duper old. It's kind of like right in the middle, and it's not on newsprint, but it's on a higher quality like matte finish paper stock. So it feels newer, but it still has like it has the little dots.
Yeah.
So it's not so it's a little bit the best of both worlds. It feels like a newer book physically, but when you're reading it, it's like old school coloring,
Mhm.
and it's endearing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I wish more were like that. Well, we got the Warlord omnibus, which was on newsprint, has sort of had the old style coloring. So I like stuff like that
Yeah.
for the older books. For the newer books, yeah, I do want the newer look to it. But there is something nostalgic about the older stuff having the older color side, because I've got a the Walter Simonson Thor omnibus, which is awesome, but it's the colors have been updated,
Yeah.
and that feels wrong. It feels weird.
Yeah, I don't like that. And you know, we've talked about it before, but a lot of that older stuff, the artist knew what it would look like. The colorist and everything would know what the paper looked like
Mhm.
because it's always off white. It's always kind of a cream to brown white for the pages, and they would color with that in mind, and it would kind of adjust the colors based on that. When you print everything out now on white paper, but it was done that
Yeah.
way, everything just looks like really overly saturated.
Yeah.
But it's because they knew that the paper back then would desaturate it to a certain
Yeah.
point. And so that's why I do like, if it was originally done on paper that was like a newsprint, do the omnibus or do whatever,
Yeah.
or give the paper that color.
Yeah. Do you guys buy comic books? Like if I came in, maybe you'd buy them or what? We do buy some.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you could. Sorry, we heard a horn up there. Yeah, you can bring some in. We can definitely look through them and see what you got. I think we're looking more for like more key issues and that kind of thing. Like we're good on just like dollar books and stuff right now. But yeah, if you have some key issues or some slightly more sought after stuff that you're looking to sell, then yeah, we can definitely look at that.
Yeah, I priced and bought a collection yesterday.
For yourself.
No,
For the
well,
store.
I priced it low and I bought it myself.
Yeah.
No, someone brought in some stuff, some old Spider-Man, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Um, but someone says, "Lol, cherry picking." Um, yeah, I mean, you do have to cherry pick because we also just have like a limited space.
Yeah.
And we wanna buy stuff that we can resell. And sometimes that's you know, we don't need just 1,000 copies of something that.
Yeah, and I mean, because it's not, it doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen sometimes where somebody may come in, they're like, hey, I want to sell my collection, and okay, what have you got? You open it up, and it's like a whole bunch of like New 52 DC stuff, or it's a whole bunch of stuff from the 90s that maybe we already have a ton of, and we that kind of thing we just can't really do anything with. So we do have to be just a little. There has to be a little bit of a selective process in
Yeah.
there. We can't just take like, oh, you've got a bunch of mid '90s X-Men books. Sure, we'll take. I mean, we already have a ton of those, and
Yeah.
those also don't sell that great anyway. So yeah, there has
Here's
to be a
an
little bit of.
incomplete run of New 52 Blackhawks. What do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, we have to be a little bit selective. We can't just take everything. New 52 Batman sells every time. I don't know about that.
The Court of Owls area
Well,
stuff does.
I guess I'm thinking more the Hawk and Dove
Hawk
New
and Dove.
52.
See, Tyler and I were there
Yeah.
for Hawk and Dove New 52 coming out. I bought every number one of New 52.
Wow.
Do I still have them all? No.
Yeah.
But at the time, I bought and read every single new number one, from Batman to OMAC to.
I think I did too, but I was a digital reader back then because when the New 52 started in September of 2011, that is also when DC started releasing their brand new comics day and date on Comixology.
Mhm.
Before, they didn't do that. And which is crazy to think now because it's like, oh, we've got DC Unlimited and all that stuff, or DC Universe Infinite, I guess. But back then, they made a big deal out of it too. They're like, starting with New 52. No, I think it actually started with Flashpoint.
Yeah.
But they're like, starting here, we're doing a new thing where you will be able to buy the new comic on Comixology the same day it comes out in stores. Obviously, it was the same price, but I don't, Flux wasn't open at the time, and I didn't know of any other comic shop around town. So I was like, well, sweet, I'll just buy them on my iPad. And I think maybe I bought every first issue digitally. Andy gave everything a fair shot.
I did.
I did that for Rebirth, gave every title a fair shake, yeah.
I think I read all. I don't know if I bought them all, but I have read every Rebirth number one. We should do that for like this show or something. Every week we should read one of the New 52 number ones, and then come in and discuss like.
That actually would be kind of cool.
Because you get a big variety. Like Of course, you get the Batman and you get, Aquaman #1 or Green Lantern #1, which was just a continuation of the
Yeah.
previous one. But then you'd hit those like, man, I didn't even remember this was a thing.
Right.
Like Blackhawk or Our Army at War. Was that what it was called? Or Men of War?
I don't remember. I was excited for Blackhawks. It ended up not being so great, but I remember thinking like, "Hey, this like GI Joe feeling a
Yeah,
little
it did
bit."
feel very
Like,
G.I.
yeah,
Joe.
that would be pretty funny to do, and it would last us exactly 1 year.
Yeah.
It would last us 52 weeks.
So let us know if you want to see that, because
That would be.
I just kind of want to do that just as a kind of reminisce thing. There's some of them I have read since then, like Aquaman, and I've read whatever I've gotten like an omnibus for Aquaman, Batman. Um,
We could do them in the order they came out too.
yeah, they were in chunks and in
Yeah.
different ways.
The
Yeah.
different Superboy.
Oh my gosh, that Superboy was such a weird book.
I was really excited for that too, but that ended up not being great. I was excited for Teen Titans. That ended up not being very
That
good
Teen
either.
Titans was also very weird. Let's see.
That had Robin, with the costume. He had the straps, and he had the cape that could like make wings or collapse on itself. I think. Oh man, that would be kind of funny. You guys may have struck gold for we can spend the first few minutes of every episode talking about. We're not going to go through all the New 52, but just like those first issues, just to sort of mimic, let's see, it was like mimic the excitement of when they first came out.
You had Action Comics, All Star Western, Animal Man, Batman: The Dark Knight, Batwoman, Batwing. Batwing was good. I
Wasn't
like
it?
Batwing.
Yeah.
The Birds of Prey was weird. Blackhawks, Blue Beetle was good.
Yeah.
Captain Atom was weird. I have the New 52 Catwoman omnibus sitting right down here. DC Universe Presents, which I completely forgot was
Yeah.
one that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I don't remember half of
Deathstroke,
these.
where he had his big spiky armor. This was before Rob Liefeld took over like half of these. Demon Knights was kind of fun. I liked Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Oh, Fury of Firestorm, where he was two separate. It was Jason Rush and Ronnie Raymond separately. They were Firestorm.
You got Gail Simone and EVS on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was
Green Arrow was
New Guardians.
Yeah.
Grifter. Actually, I like Grifter quite a bit. I Vampire, unsung hero
I
of
don't think
that.
I ever read that one.
I Vampire was really good, pretty much for its full run. Just League Dark, Just League International. Ooh, Legion of Superheroes and Legion Lost were kind of rough. Men of War, Mr. Terrific, OMAC, Resurrection Man, Stormwatch. You got to give it to them. They tried some stuff.
Yeah.
Voodoo, I really liked. I thought Voodoo was
So
really good.
is Wonder Woman's at 52? Does that mean that's the last one? Because we started getting some new ones.
Yeah.
Or is that the end of the
I think
initial
that is
wave?
the end of the initial wave. Because, yeah, Dial H was later. I know Earth 2 was.
Yeah.
Although, no, GI Combat. I guess GI Combat was not in the original.
Yeah, maybe later.
Yeah, Just League of America came later. Katana, Just League of America, and Vibe were also like phase 2 along with Constantine.
Well, yeah, we could do that. I guess what did that have, like 60 of them? I mean, that's
66.
66. That would last 66 weeks, and we could just do like maybe in alphabetical order or something. I don't know, but Ethan Van Sciver is a great artist. Got his Green Lantern and Flash. Yeah, his art's pretty decent. I like some things of his better than others, but he did a lot of design work and a lot of character creation for Green Lantern around the Jeff Johns. I think he created Atrocitus.
Yeah. Oh well, he created all the logos for all the other color lanterns, and I think their like main, um, like embodiments or whatever, like
Yeah.
Saint Walker and Atrocitus and whatever the Indigo Lantern, the main Indigo Lantern. I don't remember her name, but yeah, created all of those.
Oh dang! Now you got me wanting to do that, and it's like, no, I don't have time. We already have, a couple dozen books we have to read every weekend. I've got my own books to read at home. I don't have time to read New 52 again. But what's up, Easy Reader? But maybe one
You
book.
could work in one book a
Yeah,
week.
maybe I just like a Tuesday night, just like read a new 52 book real quick and struggle through some of them, and some of them not so much a struggle.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was fun, but it is fun to see how um like even stuff now, like we've got DC All In, and now we have Next Level coming out, or we have the Marvel Armageddon event. Whenever you like start reading comics or whatever, it's funny to see like how everything's painted as this is the biggest thing ever right
Yeah,
now, and then you look back and you're like, that was a weird time.
yeah,
Um, I do think for some of them you realize earlier than others.
yeah,
Like I think we're gonna look back at DC All In and presumably Next Level and whatever DC right now is like a really good time for
yeah.
DC.
I look back now at like there's the Rebirth era in 2016, but then how it kind of went into Infinite Frontier, and that's when you got like Lazarus Planet, and that's when you got Dark Crisis after that. And at the time, it seemed pretty exciting, but looking back on it, it's like that was all really confusing, especially
Yeah.
the Infinite Frontier stuff. And you had you had like the Flashpoint Batman, and you had that whole story that kind of that was
Doomsday Clock was like
oh
such
man.
a, oh my gosh, this is going to be the biggest thing ever. And then it just kind of existed.
Well, and it also was killed by delays too,
Yeah.
right? So that never hurt. That never helps anything. I saw when Matt was sick. He's got a library of omnibuses. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got a few. Um,
Yeah. In Marvel, like you had Marvel Now
yeah.
was one of them, and
All new, all
All
different,
New, All
and
Different.
they don't have as many like lines in the sand. Here's a new era, a new way. They don't
They
do that as
did for a
often
little
as
while. I mean, those were pretty significant. All New, All Different was pretty
the
big.
heroic age, right after
Okay,
Siege, right?
Heroic
Yeah,
Age, where you had the relaunch of Avengers with
yeah,
uh, John Romita Jr. on art. Who was writing? It was Bendis.
yeah. I think
But
so.
it
Yeah,
continued because Bendis had the first Avengers run and then just kept going, but with a new
yeah,
number one there. But yeah, it's fun to see like all of these companies. They do have to do this stuff periodically, and it's exciting for the time being. Um, and it will wax and wane to different degrees, and then some really key stuff will stick out. I can look back on pretty much each of those things and point out like, yeah, but that was an outlier. Like that one
yeah.
was, for Marvel, like All New, All Different. I really like X-Men at that time, where the younger X-Men came in, especially in the beginning. Great
Yeah.
Stuart Eminem art
And
on there.
I think maybe a lot of people don't like that, but I did. I thought it was really fun.
You had the Hulk, where he was like wearing the big suit, like that he was like an agent of Shield
Yeah.
or something, and um,
There was that run of Hulk that Mark Silvestri did the artwork on. I don't remember what
that
that was.
was
Indestructible Hulk? Maybe?
Savage Hulk.
Savage Hulk. Okay.
Savage Hulk
I
was
remember that, and I was like, that was
Jason
interesting.
Aaron. Well, he's called the Savage Hulk. I think it was just Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
But he's called the Savage Hulk. That was Jason Aaron and Mark Silvestri. Mark Silvestri was only on it for like 3 issues,
Right.
and whoever took over it like was similar.
Yeah.
But I think uh, that wasn't All New, All Different.
I think
That
it was before
that was
that.
before
Yeah.
that. But yeah, what's gonna be the next thing? I don't know. I'll be interested.
Armageddon, when we get a whole slate of brand new heroes.
I almost think that there's going to be something after Armageddon that is going to be reminiscent of the heroic age.
Yeah.
I think we'll get a. Oh yeah, Amadeus Cho was
Was a
such a
fun
fun
Hulk.
Hulk.
Yeah.
Totally awesome Hulk. Yeah, that was a great series with Frank Cho doing the art. Um, oh, the Marvel AR app. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
Where you
Yeah.
could scan it and it would give you like bonus features.
You'd have like a little video or something would pop up on the panel or something. That was forward thinking. That was still they were trying to figure this digital thing out and how to give you value add by reading digital comics and stuff like or
That
not
was-
even digital comics but because you could do it on the paper comic.
Yeah.
But
I do think it was a little diminishing returns because it started out like every book had them, and as it went on, like they're like, oh, there's one in there, and it just like showed me a picture of an old issue or
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
But like to begin with, they had these full production
yeah.
like
Interviews
the
with
Savage
creators.
Land was
Yeah,
first introduced, and that was cool. I didn't love the big QR codes in the book that kind of obscured some of the art, but I did think it was an interesting idea. I almost wish it was like I could go to a website and be like, okay, I read this book. I want to watch all the little videos
yeah.
for this.
Maybe a little bit ahead of its time. You
Yeah.
know, maybe if something like that came out now, because I don't know that the I don't know the technology was quite there, but it's like the Sega Dreamcast. It was awesome. It was a little bit ahead of its
Yeah.
time, and maybe to its detriment. You know, we got the run of Totally Awesome Hulk. I was not much of a fan of the title, but the book I remember being decent. Yeah, Amadeus Cho. I never read much because I don't think I ever read that era of Hulk. But when I went back to read Mark Waid's Champions,
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, this guy's great.
Yeah.
And now he's Braun. He's in the pages of Imperial Guardians. I
He's
don't
a
like
lot
him.
smaller.
Yeah, I don't like him as Braun as much. He was fun as the Hulk. That one of those issues of the Champions where they're like, hey, Amadeus Cho, like Hulk, how high can you jump? And he's like, I don't know, and he just jumps, and there's three panels of them just like looking, like waiting for him to
Yeah.
come back down. That was hilarious. Oh man. Yeah, that first five issues of Champions, Mark
Yeah.
Waid and Humberto Ramos, like that's some great comics.
Yeah. That was during. Is that Marvel Now? That they that
Seems like it was a little bit after that, maybe.
um
It was all new, all different, maybe. It was around then.
All New All Different was with that's where Cyclops first young Cyclops came back.
Yeah.
But yeah, my idea is I think after Armageddon that we are gonna get like at least what they'll try to do is a very fresh look at the Avengers,
Oh
and
yeah.
we might get like some kind of what DC is doing now. I feel like Marvel's like, we can't just do that. We have to have like a big event to cause that to happen. And I think maybe on the other side of this Armageddon event, we will get, unfortunately, I think maybe Daredevil, Captain America, all the ones we like right now will get renumbered.
Oh, I hope not. Oh my
Because that's just
gosh.
what they like to do.
Oh.
But I think on the other side of this, maybe in the fall is when a lot of companies do their big swings. That might be when we see it.
Yeah. Oh man, that's renumbering. Ugh. All right. I guess we probably could call it here, right? We've been going for over an hour.
Yeah.
But yeah, guys, thanks for hanging out and chatting with us this new comic book day evening. We hope you got some awesome new comic books today, or going to get some awesome ones when you can get to your shop this week. We are about to post right now, actually. We are posting our top comics to pre-order in a flash, so go check that out if you want to see 10 of the hottest books you can pre-order this weekend. We will be posting our Comics from the Future video on Friday where we talk about all those. I'll talk the whole hour about Firestorm and how great that is. We'll show you a bunch of variants and stuff like that. Next week is huge, both in number of books and caliber,
Yeah.
because we have the first 3 of DC's Next Level books coming out. The first 3 new books, in DC's Next Level coming out. Plus, there's the start of the Wonder Wars storyline. There's some other DC stuff. There's like 12 Marvel books that we'll be talking about. There's like close to 30 books that I think we'll cover next Monday. So next week is huge.
How will we find the time?
I don't know. I can't.
Thankfully, we've already read a lot of them. But,
some of them, yeah.
Yeah. So, and we're gonna try to do these live videos. For now, we're gonna try to do them every week, time permitting, and scheduling and everything. That's already gonna get shaken up. Maybe I don't think I'm gonna be gone on a Wednesday coming up, but I'm gonna be at C2E2 and Huntsville coming up in the next month. But that shouldn't mess up a Wednesday. So we should, for the most part, tentatively be able to do this every week. And we're looking forward to it. If you go on one of our videos or something, if you have questions, we'd love to answer your questions.
Any of our videos, if you want to ask a question or you want something for us, if you have something for us to talk about on these shows, doesn't have to be the comments of this video. It could be the comments on any of them. We'll compile those together and we can discuss them.
Yeah, some topics you want to hear us cover? Do you want us to go over all the number ones of the New 52 and do
Yeah,
a
let us
retro
know.
review? Because I think that would be fun.
That would be kind of fun.
Yeah, so let us know. But we're here for your entertainment.
That's right. We are dancing monkeys, and you can throw like little banana pieces at us.
Just
and
wad it up,
Yeah.
Hawk and Dove number ones at our faces.
All right, we're out of here, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.